For those of you that may not know who Sara Hall is, I hope that you enjoy this essentially brief summary of her amazing career that she's had and the adversity that she's overcome to get to where she is now as the top Masters marathoner in the world.
They've got about 1,000 meters to go. We'll have the finish when we return. Welcome back to New Balance Elite Racing. The 2000 Footlocker Cross Country Championships with Anita Saraki making her move for the tape. She's the California Division I State Cross Country Champion, and she's followed by the Division II State Cross Country Champion, and 4 times the champion in that division, Sara Bay. Who's better in a sprint?
Gosh, great California representation here. Here comes Anita Saraki. She's really turning it on. She sees the finish line in sight. Sara Bay on the outside looked like she's going to come up on her shoulder. Here comes Sara Bay, Anita Saraki. Anita's pushing. You could really tell the strain in her.
And Bay now leaning all the way, is coming up on her shoulder. Now they're even. Bay was 10th as a freshman, then 3rd as a sophomore. Didn't qualify last year. Heading for redemption in 2000. And now it's over. Saraki capitulates. Bay hits the tape in a new course record.
It has to be said, she's back at the top of her game and is going to be heading for an incredibly fast time, and she's sprinting and is really trying to close on Gatic. The world champion can see the finish line, but Sara Hall is coming, and I think she may well do this. Can Gatic find anything? Sara Hall has closed this gap. Gatic tries to respond, nothing there. Sara Hall is going to take second place from absolutely nowhere. What a run from Sara Hall in the closing stages. And look at the clock, just on 2 hours 22.
As well in Santa Rosa, California, and just fell in love with it at an early age and kept going.
100-meter run, and this too should be a very competitive race. We're at Drake Stadium. These are the men's and women's track and field championships in the Pac-10 conference, and Dwight, I think a tactical race here.
I don't think there's any question. And the Stanford women, this is one of those events where they can really make some points happen, both Sara Bay and Ariana Lambi, if they can finish up high enough without having to expend a lot of energy, because Bay has to come back in the 5,000 meters. But Irina Vaschuk, the senior from USC, should have something to say about that. But I expect some team tactics here between the Stanford women.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how this race plays out. We are underway in the women's 1,500, and we'll see how the Stanford women choose to run this race.
And Barry, I think that Stanford women are going to have to push the pace because Vaschuk's kick is just too strong. You're looking at Sara Bay in the lead right now, and she's more of a 1,500, 5,000 runner rather than a 1,500, 800-meter runner. What that means is she is not that fast a kicker now. Ari Lambi is doing the smart thing. She's taking the pace out, Barry. For Lindsay Eggerdahl of Washington, she's currently 3rd. She has some credentials too. And Bay now, Barry, she's moved up into 4th. She must cover these moves.
Yeah, she's in a pretty good position too, although normally likes to be a little bit closer up. It's Lambi in front, Vaschuk is in 2nd place, Eggerdahl 3rd, Bay is in 4th place, Ellison of ASU running right now in 5th place. So those are the top 5, just about 2 laps to go. Bell lap now, and it's Lambi, Vaschuk, Eggerdahl, and Bay.
3:10 to go with 3:10 with 1 lap to go. So they picked the pace up a little bit. I think Vaschuk is just ready to pounce.
And as I always say, it's always better to be the hunter than the hunted. Vaschuk knowing that this is the only thing she has to do all day long, and she comes up on Lambe's shoulder, a little less than 300 meters to go, and she goes earlier than I expected.
And just blew right by her, easily blew by her. Now here comes Bay. She passes Eggerdahl and now passes her teammate Lambi.
Look at Sara Bay go now. This is key. If they can hold 2nd and 3rd, Barry, they're going to be in great shape.
Well, Lambe is starting to fade back to 4th, but Bay making a very strong challenge for the lead here. I don't know that Vaschuk really is expecting this as Bay comes up on her shoulder with 140 to go.
So they come around the final turn, and Bay gets right up on the shoulder of Vaschuk. We'll see what Vaschuk has left. It is Vaschuk by just about a foot over Bay. It's going to be a tight race coming down the finish line. Vaschuk still running comfortably. Vaschuk and Bay, and it's going to be that close right to the finish line. Bay coming hard, but Vaschuk will have enough to win it.
In the women's 3,000-meter run, this pretty much sums up the weekend for the Stanford Lady Cardinals. Sara Bay, the junior, a strong favorite to win the race, goes down in a heap, leading with just a lap and a half to go. Colorado senior.
Ready for the women's race to begin. Des Linden closest to camera. Meb signals the start. Linden and Sara Hall at the front of the pack in the women's. Three spots each up for grabs here in Atlanta, and both races now underway. Sara Hall, center of your screen in that blue top. She never expected the marathon to be her distance, but when she did her first one in 2015, she said it was like a rebirth of her career.
28.54, so it is on the slow side. I mean, their last 3 miles have been 5:40, 5:43, 5:41, and that's for Sara Hall in the blue there with the black shorts right in the center of the picture.
In the women's, Emma Bates, Emily Sisson, Laura Thwaite, Sara Hall, Molly Seidel, Kellen Taylor. It is a terrific pack at the front, and it's been that way right from the start. There will be some disappointments because you get that feeling that it's just going to be so tough where you have to draw that line after third place. Who will make it and who will not? We've got some stories to tell on the road to Tokyo. In the women's, it's Alafine Tuliamuk on her way to Tokyo.
2020 was a period where I really found how much fire I still have for the sport. It forged something in me that led to the greatest races of my career. I found that strength through picking myself up over and over again.
Yeah. But she has some redemption. She missed that team here in the marathon trials in 2020. She now missed the team on the track. She wants to win national championships. She wants to be the best in America. And she is going to her arms. She's going up on her toes. She's done so many great things. She has so much to run for.
She's a long strider, isn't she?
She has a long stride, and she is so good. She's even done the steeplechase, Jeff. She's done it all. She's won so many national championships, but she's still going strong at 38 years old.
And she is packing so much power here at the finish for a road race.
Yeah, you know, and this is what this is how she looks all the time.
I mean, we didn't see that a decade ago, 38-year-olds, did
no,
we?
you know, it's changing, and even just changing with the parents. Like, there's both men and women on this field in this field today. A lot of them have kids, and they're coming back. They can make a living in the sport. So, yeah, you're seeing her come, and look at her go so hard. She's going to break that tape, and she's running very fast as well, just off the fastest American time ever, and her second USATF Road 10K Championship.
The pace setter is trying to enjoy these last strides with her, but here comes Sara Hall to the finish as she will take the win here in the women's marathon. A shade over 2 hours, 20 minutes, and 30 seconds as she becomes the second fastest marathoner in American history.
The women's half is actually super fast, and it's got Karen Mayo, who ran a 69. She ran like a 69:30 last year. Her best time before that was 74. This is a huge jump, and Sara Hall's out there, Dominique Scott's out there, and Fiona O'Keefe is out there, and they're on 67 flat pace. The American record, the legal American record on a course that beats the rules, is 67:25. Said here by I just went blank on her name, Molly Huddle, just a few years ago. But the unofficials, Kara Goucher, 67:55, 66:55, or is that in that range? They're after that pace right now, and there's 4 left, and they don't have rabbits, but they have I say unnatural rabbits. They have natural rabbits that are people in the race. They're guys in the race that are trying to run this, and that's your pack right there, 4. Actually, it might be 5 back there. That is incredible to have this many people this far up. Dominique Scott's an interesting story. She's from South Africa. I remember watching her run for Arkansas. It was just one of those dominant runners, prettiest runners I've ever seen, form-wise, and so smart in her racing. And this is a big move for her up to this distance. She's been running track races most of the time.
So Sara in the front. In the front right there, right? That's Sara Hall, right?
That's Sara Hall.
Okay, I can't resist sharing this story, that she and her husband adopted 4 children, 4 sisters from Ethiopia. I mean, as a mom, I just think, as a non-runner, but as a mom, I just want to give her that shout out, because that's incredible. And when you're watching them go by in person, you really get to see it. It is a sprint, which is amazing to see how.
And then in the more interesting race, Sara Hall has broken away from everybody. She did that a few minutes ago. And last time I checked before the excitement of that, she's on pace to set the American record.
And there she is right there between those three gentlemen.
Right now,
yeah.
And I normally like to say, how does she look running? She's looked like this every time we've seen her throughout the race, which isn't as smooth as you'd expect most great runners to be. But it works for her, and she's on pace to do something phenomenally well.
John, you're talking about an American record pace. It's amazing to me that was the stated goal entering the Aramco Half Marathon on the women's side. Phenomenal that you could deliver perhaps this kind of finish.
And I want to mention the opposite of Mengisha, who just won the men. She's 38 years old, and she is having the best part of her career has been the last 2 or 3 years. She ran the second fastest marathon ever run by an American 13 months ago. She ran PR 68 minutes a couple times last year. She ran a 2:22 marathon to place really well in London last year. So she is really rocking at 38 years old.
Yeah.
And to have a shot at the actual, I would guess right now, and I haven't seen anything in the last few seconds, that she has a shot at the U.S. official record. I don't know if she'll get Kara Goucher's sub 67. The Masters, Roberta Groner, who at 39 years old qualified for the World Championship team in 2019.
Yeah.
So people are running really, really well into their 40s even.
Yeah, with good training and good diet and all that we know about how to recover from training events and all that. So it's great to see her. And as I said, the mother of 4 daughters that she and her husband adopted from Ethiopia.
She did it. It's the American record. You just had the fastest time ever run in the United States and the American record run in the same.
Sara Hall has closed this gap. Gated tries to respond, nothing there. Sara Hall is going to take second place from absolutely nowhere. What a run from Sara Hall in the closing stages. And look at the clock, just on 2 hours 22.
It took years of picking myself back up. I finally reached the pinnacle of the sport. The marathon is like life. Sometimes you have doubts, sometimes you have setbacks. If you fail often enough, you stop being scared of it. And when you aren't afraid to fail, you're dangerous. On the biggest stage of my career, I get chills. I've been in this sport for almost 2 decades. I'd never made an outdoor US team until now.
One of our most versatile runners in the world, she's won national titles at distances from the mile to the marathon, set an American record in the half marathon, and tossed in a 2011 Pan Am Games gold medal in the steeplechase for good measure. Since making her marathon debut in 2015, she became the 3rd fastest American in history when she won the 2020 Marathon Project in 2:20:32. Ladies and gentlemen, Sara Hall.
So, chasing pack, Piasecki, the 2 Americans, Hall and Bates.
It was black and white TV. In fact, everything was black and white, it was so long ago. But I remember running in a 10-mile race, and I was about 25 yards behind the guy, and he leapt off the road to have a quick toilet break. And I thought, great, I'm going to get past him. He was back on the road. And Schultz, absolutely critical. Sara Hall raising the game, telling the crowd to keep on cheering loudly, working hard here. Now this could be one of those Sara Hall charges. She's renowned for finishing strongly. She's tough as nails, is Sara Hall.
Now here is Sara Hall to begin the Team USA train to the finish as she celebrates as well, as she caught Tanui. Sara Hall, a top 5 finish on home soil.
Want your mindset to be? What do you want to be telling yourself when you're hurting those last 6 miles? And I think you really have to know your why in Boston.
Been patient. We're going to see who is able to hold the pace back, but drafting out the back, and then see what happens as the race unfolds.
Gatitam Ghebreselassie, the world champion, as we get ready for the women's start. Certainly among the many favorites. You see Sara Hall right there. Lona Salpeter in the bright pink shoes. She will be a contender.
And that's Edna Kiplagat running her 6th Boston Marathon. She's a 2-time winner here. 43 years old. I mean, the list goes on, but we have to keep our eye on her.
She is a running Masters record waiting to happen, and she set that Masters record here last year. And then Edna Kiplagat, who we touched on, and Abba Yeshina, who was part of the great finish last year where they switched, where they traded the lead 7 times in the last mile and a quarter.
Yeah, she and Paris Jepchirchir, who is not here, the defending champion, is not back this year, but Ababel was second, and her post after she finished second was, that left a sour taste, so she didn't like it either. Sara Hall, obviously. Happy birthday, Sara Hall. Turned 40 yesterday. 4th fastest American ever, over 26.2.
Sara and Edna Kiplagat finished far enough behind to where they just weren't covered in the media coverage of the race. However, Sara did defeat Edna Kiplagat and set a new American course record for Masters for the Boston course.